Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Patrick Dougherty. I'm a professor at Akita International University, and today I'm going to give you a presentation that I hope will help you to learn new English vocabulary. Both learn the vocabulary and remember the vocabulary so you can utilize the words later in conversation or in writing. Okay? Well, let's begin. I will share my slides. There we are. Okay. I call this presentation Tricks to Learning English Vocabulary. And it's the product of years and years of teaching experience, both my own and the experiences of my colleagues who I asked for advice in getting this presentation ready for you. We know that having a good vocabulary will allow you to be fluent in a language. Won't guarantee it, but will allow you to be. So it's a building block, basically, for you to be able to reach a point where you can really utilize English in conversation and writing. Okay? All right. Let me introduce myself just a little bit more. As I said, my name is Dr. Patrick Dougherty, but everybody at AIU, at Akita International University, my young scholars in particular, know me as Dr. Pat. And if you meet me, you may use that title for me. Just call me Dr. Pat, it's fine. I'm a professor of applied international liberal arts. I'm the dean of the faculty of applied international liberal arts, and I am head of the English for Academic Purposes program and foreign language education here at AIU. Now, when you come to Akita International University, often I will tell you and others, other professors and other young scholars, that we expect you, when you come to AIU, to be a scholar. We don't want you to be a student. Now, you might ask, okay, what's the difference? What is the difference between a student and a scholar? Let me explain. To me, a student is passive. A student sits there quietly, listens to the lectures of the professors or the teachers, takes notes, and then takes a test. They are not that active. They don't ask questions. They don't really engage much with the material. Just enough engagement perhaps so they can pass the test. And that's it. Okay, so a student is passive. A scholar, however, a scholar is active. A scholar wants to learn. A scholar will work hard to learn. A scholar will work with other scholars to learn. So a scholar is active. A student is passive. That is the major difference. We want you, when you come to AIU, to be scholars. Do not be students. Don't be passive. Be active. Ask questions. Engage with the material. Talk to your professors, your teachers. Talk to your peers in the class. Become involved. Now, is this new? No, it's been around a long time, this difference between a student and a scholar. Let me show you a picture from the Middle Ages. Now, you can probably find a student there. I see a few of them, but let me point out this student. There he is, third row, asleep. Okay, don't be him. Be a scholar, be active, ask questions, engage with material. Okay, you will learn so much more if you are a scholar. You will, and you'll be able to use your learning, the things that you learn, actively in your life. Now, today's agenda, very simple. I'm going to give you an explanation of the importance of a good vocabulary, why it's helpful to have a lot of words that you can utilize from your vocabulary. I'll give you 7 tricks to improve your vocabulary and also to help you remember the vocabulary, because I don't know, but I've often had situations where I was trying to use a foreign language and I was trying to remember words and maybe I wasn't so successful. So, being able to also remember the words is important. And I'll give you a chance to practice. I know this is a videotape and you're watching it possibly at home, but I will offer you an opportunity, you know, in the comfort of your own home or wherever you might be watching this, to practice a little bit, okay? All right. Learning vocabulary. Why is it essential? And what are some strategies for learning and keeping new vocabulary? Like I said, sometimes it's not just, you know, when I was learning, for example, in high school studying Spanish or Italian, in university studying German, I would make vocabulary lists. I would get ready for tests. I would have all these vocabulary words and I would memorize them, know their definition and such. And then I would take the test and then I would forget all the words. So I was not successful at that stage of my learning. I needed to not just be able to learn the words, but keep them in my mind somehow so I could pull them into conversations or use them when I was trying to write something in the foreign language I was engaged with. Okay, so we know that words build meaning. They're essential to building meaning, which means allowing you to be understood by people you are speaking to or writing to in the target foreign language. So words build meaning. Without a good vocabulary, without words that you can pull into your writing, into your spoken discourse, you run the risk of having the effort at communication failing. And that's always sad. And it's something that you can avoid or try to avoid by having a good vocabulary that you can utilize when you need to communicate in the target foreign language. In this case, of course, I'm speaking of English. But really it applies to any foreign language or any language in general. Even our native language, we need to have a good vocabulary to be able to communicate well. But oftentimes people ask me, they will ask, Dr. Pat, okay, I want to master English. I want to learn English. I want to be able to use English. I'm really motivated, but I need to know how many words do I need to consider myself proficient, capable in English? Well, scholars have looked into this, professors, linguists, and they've kind of come to the agreement that, you know, for basic conversation, like going to the post office, going shopping, take care of the very, very basic things that you would have to do. For example, if you're visiting a foreign country and you needed to use the foreign language, about 800 to 1,000 words for basic conversation. Okay, that sounds like, oh, okay. Now, for day-to-day survival, let's say you're going to go to France and you're going to have to survive day-to-day in French and using the French language, and you don't have anybody to help you. They recommend, meaning scholars recommend, that you know about 2,000 words. So if you're going to America and you're going to live there for a while and you need to take care of a lot of things to just, you know, get through the day, you will need to know about 2,000 words. Now, the next numbers might shock you, but I want you to relax. I want you to take a deep breath. Okay, don't worry too much, but I'm going to show you how many words they recommend you know to succeed at university, where you are, for example, taking all of your courses in English. So are we ready? Okay. 15,000 to 20,000 words at the university level. That's what you need to know to be able to do, for example, what our young scholars at AIU do. They take all of their classes in English. They write all of their papers in English. They read all of the textbooks in English. I mean, they're using English all the time, and they're communicating in class. They're having debates and discussions. They need to know 15 to 20,000 English words to succeed and survive at the university level. Okay, now I know you might go, oh, wow, that's a big jump, 2,000 to 15,000 to 20,000. But hey, just relax. It has been done. It will be done, and you can do it. Now, I said I'd give you some tricks, right? And there are basically, before we get into that, the tricks, I want you to think about, when we're talking about vocabulary, how do we know that we know the vocabulary word? I mean, really, if I say, okay, go learn these vocabulary words, learn this vocabulary, learn, how do we know that we know the word, for example? Well, there's 7 ways, perhaps. First off, can you spell it? Nowadays, we have spell check, and that's a great resource, but being able to spell the word means that you have a grasp of it, okay? Can you pronounce it? Again, we can be aided by technology because, I don't know how many times I go and I want to figure out how to pronounce a word in another language, and I can, Google the pronunciation. I can go online. I can find out what the word sounds like. You can define it. Its definition. That means that you have a good grasp of the word. You can recognize it when you're reading or when you're listening to somebody. Oh yeah, I know that word. I know what it means. You use it correctly. You put it in a sentence correctly. You write it into something like a paragraph, and you use it correctly. It means that you understand it. You know all of its forms, past tense, present tense, etc. Means another way that you can know a word. And you know its collocations. Now, if you don't know what a collocation is, don't worry. I will share with you the meaning, okay? But these basically are 7 ways that we can say that, okay, I know this word. I can do these things. All right, now, you're probably saying, there are so many words in English. Where do I start? Where do I start learning words? What words should I study first? What words should I know? Well, scholars have helped us. Scholars have helped us. So you don't just need to be random here. You can go to certain resources to help you figure out which words are important for you to know. For example, we have the academic word list. If you are going to go to university and you want to know what words in English you would need to know if you're going to go to an English, an EMI, an English medium of instruction university, for example, we have something called the academic word list. There are thousands of words, basically, that scholars, academics, teachers have identified as necessary or useful, at least, for you to be able to know to succeed at the university level. All right, so that's one list. Now we have another list called the general service list. And these are a lot of words that people have identified, meaning scholars, teachers, linguists, that they think are useful to know to get by in English, where you go and you're going to live in America, you're going to work with people at a company where you have to speak English a lot. These is a list of words that are good for the day-to-day work you have to do in business or just life. Okay, so we have the academic word list. You're going to study and do academic things with English, and the general service list, where it just tells you what words are useful to know in English to get by in a day-to-day world where you have to use English for your business, or because you're living in an environment where English has to be used to communicate. Okay, now, where do you find these lists? Okay, we have the head word list, for example, here, academic word list, just a few of them. Where do you find that list? Where do you find the general service list? Well, it's easy, actually. Technology can help us. Go to Google. Google the academic word list. Google the general service list in English, and you will find lots of examples. Okay, so you don't need to buy anything special. You don't need to buy a textbook or things. They're actually pretty much available online. So take advantage of that. That'll help focus your learning a bit. So it won't be overwhelming. You won't just pick up a dictionary and say, okay, page 1, page 2, page 3. You can go to the academic word list. You can go to the general service list, and that'll give you a starting point for your language acquisition. Now, I told you I'd share with you some tricks. So there's 7 tricks for learning and remembering new words. These work, but I want you to understand a few things. Use the tricks that work for you. Maybe 2 of these work really well, the other 5 not so much because of your certain learning style or, preferences. You don't need to use all of them, okay? You can use the ones that work for you. And remember to mix things up. Keep things fresh. Don't use the same thing over and over and over again. Keep it new, keep it different, keep it happening by mixing these up a bit. One day you'll kind of use this technique and this trick. Next day you'll use this other technique, other thing. That's important. Okay, if you're going to train, for example, for a sport, you won't do the same exact practice every single day. If you do, you have a bad coach. What you're going to do is you're going to mix things up. Sometimes you're going to play baseball, you're going to practice batting, you're going to practice fielding, you're going to do running, you're going to do weight work, you're going to all sorts of things. So you'll mix things up to become better at the sport. Likewise, you need to mix things up to become a more proficient learner and user of vocabulary. And what tools to use, okay? What can you use as far as the day-to-day kind of organizing yourself to learn the words? Some people like notebooks, some people like flashcards, some people just like to use their computer to record the words and such, maybe your smartphone, whatever works for you, and if you have a technique of your own, fine, use it. That's okay. Come up with a way that you can record the words and information about the words that help you learn the word and remember the word. Okay, now our tricks. Trick number 1, notice how the word is built. What are the parts of the word that build it into the word that it is? For example, we have the word microbiology. Okay, well, what if I don't really know what that word means and I'm trying to figure it out? Well, I can break it into its parts. Microbiology. Now, English is a mix of a lot of different languages. We have Latin influences, Greek influences, Anglo-Saxon influences, Norman French, just all sorts of things. English is kind of a sponge for vocabulary and that. And so microbiology, sometimes it's useful if you know a little bit of Latin, a little bit of Greek and that. But what does it mean, these words? Okay, micro means small, bio means life, logi means to study or study. And that means, so what does the word microbiology mean? It means small life study, the study of very small microorganisms, okay? So break the words apart to help find their meaning. Break them apart as best you can. Most words, especially longer words, are made up of different parts. And if you kind of understand what these different parts are, like suffixes, prefixes, all of that, it might help you figure out what the word means and remember what the word means. So prefixes and suffixes, what are those? Well, prefixes come before the word, main part of the word. Suffixes come at the end of the word. And there are about 20 common prefixes, but 4 of them are used about 97% of the time. So that is helpful. You only really need to know 4 to really be able to cover 90% of the words you'll encounter. And then the same for suffixes. You got about 20 of common ones, but only 4 are used most frequently. So, hey, these words, these prefixes, 97% of the cases where there'll be a prefix. So dis, in, re, and un. D-I-S, I-N, R-E, and U-N. Dis means not or opposite, okay? In or im, not. R-E means again, okay? And un, U-N means not. Those are the most common prefixes. The most common suffixes would be ed for past tense verbs, ing for verb form, present participle, ly, characteristic of, s and es, more than one. So, 4 and 4, that makes life easier. Let me show you, as far as what I know, is the longest word in English dictionaries. Are you ready? Okay, take a deep breath. This is pretty impressive. Wow. Okay, how would you like to have that on a spelling test? Okay, now it's pretty intimidating. It's kind of scary, that word. But what does this word mean? Let me see if I can break it down. Like, okay, wish me luck here. I'm going to try to break down this incredibly long word. Okay, there it is. Wow. Okay, now breaking it down. Pneumono means lung. Ultra means very. Microscopic means small. Silico means particles. Volcano means, get this, volcano. Con means with, and eosis means illness. All right, so we broke down that word. What does it mean now? It's basically a lung illness you get from inhaling small particles of ash and dust from a volcano's eruption. That is what that word means, okay? So you get the dust, you get the ash, you get it in your lungs, and then you suffer from that illness. You get sick from it. Trick 2. When you learn a word, learn its forms. Okay, for example, Japan has a business-oriented economy. Okay, what does economy mean? Well, noun, verb, adjective, adverb. Okay, let's break this up down. Noun would be economy, economics, economist. Verb would be economize. Adjective, economical. Adverb, economically. Okay, so these are breaking down the word economy into a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb. Okay, know its forms. Trick number 3, learn opposites. Some people say you shouldn't. It might be confusing, but some scholars also say learn opposites. So I'll suggest it here as an option for you. For example, okay, generous, yay. Somebody is generous, they're giving, they like to give people things, they're helpful, they give their time, their money, their attention. And then you have people who are stingy. They do not want to give money, they do not want to give time, they do not want to give attention, okay? Trick 4. Remember collocations. Remember collocations. Now, remember I told you collocations. If you don't know what those are, I said I would help you, and here I'm going to help you. Remember that words are seldom used alone in writing or speaking. Oftentimes, words are associated with other words. You rarely see a word without its friends that it hangs out with. Okay, so you have a word that has other words that usually appear with it. Words are rarely ever there in isolation. So collocations are 2 or more words that often go together as a chunk of language. Examples. Okay, for example, I'm going to take a taxi. I'm going to, take someone prisoner. I'm going to take someone's advice. These are just some examples of collocations associated with the word take. I'm going to take a sip. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to take a seat. Okay, these are collocations. We also, by the way, because we want to help you, academics have come up with the Academic Collocation List. And there are 2,426 collocations listed. Maybe they've been adding a few more, but when I checked, it was 2,426 collocations. So again, a list you can Google and that you can use to help you, to help organize your learning. Now, similar to collocations, you might have heard of idioms. What are idioms? Well, idioms are a collection of words that have been given a meaning over time. These are always kind of interesting to study also. For example, might have heard the English idiom, break a leg. It sounds like, what? But that actually means they're wishing you luck. To kick the bucket unfortunately means to die. Oh, he kicked the bucket. We know that means to die. To live it up means to enjoy life. Shape up or ship out means you better improve yourself or you're going to have to leave. To spill the beans means to tell a secret. If it's raining cats and dogs, means there's lots of rain. It's raining hard. If you're the top dog, you are the leader. Okay, so if you look at these idioms just by themselves, they don't make much sense. But culturally, over time, they have been identified with meaning by people who speak English, and sometimes there are different idioms depending on where you are in the English-speaking world. For example, there are special idioms that maybe you would know if you lived in New Zealand. There are idioms you would know if you lived in Australia, if you lived in Great Britain, if you live in the US, if you live in Canada. So they would be a little different. I find them kind of fun, just to study it because they kind of talk about culture too and history a bit. But anyway, idioms you will encounter all the time, and they are useful to study and to try to learn and to try to use. And the last three tricks give you ways to study and remember words, okay? So we've tried to help you figure out how to figure out the words, but also these ones will help you, okay, how do I remember them? So you now have the words, the collocations, the idioms. Trick 5, draw pictures. I do this. Others do this. Maybe this is something you can do. Maybe you're a little bit of an artist and you like this. Doesn't need to be an elaborate picture. No, it can be very simple. Make simple drawings to help you remember a word. Our brains are designed to process visual information quickly. Okay, so an elephant. There you go. Use picture flashcards for learning and review. For example, I think they work well, So you're trying to study something and you want to learn, okay, you've got a broom or you've got a gas station thing and you're trying to figure it out. You draw a little picture on your note card. That'll help you. And then trick 6, it sounds silly, but it does work. Kinesthetically, it's helpful. Learn words with your whole body. Okay? Doesn't matter what age you are. It's kind of fun. It'll help you. It'll help lock it into your memory. Okay? Say the word out loud. Walk around when you're saying the word. Associate it with an action, maybe. It'll help. Make word association webs would be trick number 7. Have a word like web design and then think, okay, what other words would relate to it? Or, come up with words that associate with the word that you wrote down. You'll be surprised at how many words you can come up with. Maybe quite a few. Like if you have the word star, then you have luminary, radiance, galaxy, Hollywood, billion, movie, firmament, shine, astronomy, dawn, bright, moon. See how many words you can come up with. Okay. Now I told you I'd give you a chance to practice, and it might sound a little silly, but we're just going to try it. So get a piece of paper out, okay? Have something you can write on. Use a pen, a pencil, a crayon, I don't care. We're going to do a word web challenge. Okay, you're going to make a word web. I'm going to give you exactly, I can't give you much time, maybe 1 minute. Okay, so I have a word I'm going to give you. Then I want you to very, very, very quickly to write as many words as you can think of that associate with that word. Are you ready? I hope you are. Here's the word. And in the time given, see how many words you can think for this anchor word I will give you. Here it is, school. Start writing words that associate with school. I'm looking at my clock. I won't spend too much time. Okay. How many words did you write down? Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 10. Who knows? But it's one way that you can practice, that you can think, okay, how do I associate these words? It's another way to do it. Now, I'll give you another example. I'm not going to time you on this, but this is something you can do on your own. Okay, I'll give you another word. And, later on, after this presentation, maybe for fun, you can give yourself, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes and see how many words you can come up with. Maybe challenge a friend and see how many words each of you can come up with in a designated amount of time. Okay, we did school. Vacation. Okay, so in the future, give yourself 2 or 3 minutes, maybe challenge yourself with a friend to see how many words you can associate with the word vacation. I can think of a lot. Think fun, I can think sun, I can think relaxation, I can think beach, I can think, shopping and all sorts of things for a vacation. All right, now remember this word? I'm just kind of curious. What picture would you draw to remember it? Oh, I think if I was going to draw a picture, I would probably draw a picture that looked like this. Okay, that would help me remember what the word is. A lung illness you get from inhaling small particles of ash and dust from a volcano's eruption. That is the longest word in most English dictionaries. And so, conclusion. We've learned 7 tricks today to learn and remember vocabulary. Okay, notice how the word is built. When you learn a word, learn its forms, learn opposites, remember collocations, draw pictures, learn words with your whole body, and make word association webs. These are just, 7 tricks, 7 things that you can do. Maybe there are many others, but I just wanted to share with you 7 today that I hope will help you to build your English vocabulary. So some advice. Don't always work alone. You might think, studying is something you need to do by yourself, in your room. But no, find a friend. It makes studying easier. Study together. Talk to each other in English. Practice vocabulary together. Do little games like I've shown you in English together. Make it interesting. We need people in our lives, and people can motivate us to do well. And also, people sometimes ask me, what's a good way I can, learn more English words too? What should I be doing? Well, I personally think reading. Read, and read. Read in English. I don't care if it's magazines. I don't care if it's, comic books. I don't care if it's, academic books. Read. Reading will allow you to encounter lots of new words in their natural state, for communication. So that's useful. You can also, of course, people like to watch movies and things, and that's great. But I think reading, to me, is kind of the cornerstone for really building a good vocabulary. Okay, but anything that works for you is great. Reading works for me, and I like to read. So thank you, everybody, for your attention today. I hope that you learned. I definitely enjoyed sharing with you today 7 tricks to help you learn English vocabulary and to remember the words that you learn so you can utilize them for conversation. Okay, so from Akita International University, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, and I want to give special thanks to Miss Cherie Brown Sensei, and Mr. Joe Sykes Sensei, because they assisted me in getting this presentation ready for you. Those are my references. And I'm going to say goodbye, everyone, and thank you.